Perfect. All right, bet. Welcome. This is the Trade Tribe, Season 2, Episode 2. I still can't get used to saying that it's Season 2 yet, but we're in 2021, and my name is Taufik Suleiman, the student investor. As by no means am I an expert, but every week I'm looking to learn and bring my tribe along. The Trade Tribe is a trading community and show where we learn to trade, share strategies, and contribute to making the tribe wealthier. This show is our take on how we analyze the markets, what we think is going to happen, and how we make plays on that, as well as share our learnings along the journey. Between our trading group chat and our weekly recorded calls, we want to see every young adult, a part of our tribe, thrive. So make sure to add us on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and any podcast platform at The Trade Tribe. And here today we got myself, Hero, Rebecca, I don't know why that said so me still, and David Antwi. How y'all feeling this week? How did your week go?
Feeling good. My week went a little slow. I didn't really make any plays. I'm still kind of in the research phase of getting back, slowly trying to creep back into the market. I've been investing on and off for like 4 years now, but now I'm like trying to get back into a full swing.
Hey, that's what we love to see. That's gonna be the mood all 2021. Investing and getting our money up. How about you, Hero, Rebecca?
Ladies first, Rebecca.
The week was good. It was, making some great plays with the tribe. It's also kind of doing a lot of research on my end, trying to find the next thing. We were doing a lot of the semi plays with the semiconductors, and just kind of looking to continue pursuing that with next earning reports.
Dope. Same for me on my end. I think it was a really great week. I was up a decent amount this week. I almost broke above the PDT rule again, but then Friday happened and it came back down. So I basically ended up a little bit in profit, but barely. And in pretty much breaking even. So that was interesting, but it was a good week overall, mainly with personally for work. For me, I feel like I'm getting the hang of it. But more than that, we have new members in the tribe. I'm excited to have more people in the tribe. The tribe is still growing, and we also have a lot of people hopping onto the clubhouse and joining the discussion. Again, this is an open discussion. We want to talk back and forth. People learn, share information, share strategies. So I'm loving to see it, and I'm excited to get started. But moving on, this week has been somewhat of an interesting week, somewhat of a plain week. The markets pretty much came down a little bit, 1% down since the year started off, which was off on a great note. So it's really all up in the air. And I feel like that describes what's going to happen next week. But just for the weekend review, Biden announced on Thursday that he will be doing a $1.9 trillion stimulus relief package called Save America or America Rescue Plan or whatever they called it. And in that plan, there's been allocations to unemployment, keeping stimulus checks coming for those households, dedicating some money to energy and some genomics and a lot of different things. So if you're interested in learning more about it, definitely go check that out. And again, we are officially on Clubhouse. So keep joining the Trade Tribe. Search up the Trade Tribe Club on Clubhouse, follow or become a member and join the discussion. We have a call every Sunday at 2 p.m. and we discuss different stock picks, just share information, answer any questions. We also have new members that I'm excited. Shout out to Simbi. Shout out to David Antwi. Shout out to Joel Osei. Shout out to Calvin. Shout out to everyone, Ranisha as well. New members of the tribe, people that are looking to learn and really be involved in the group and also contribute as well. So I'm excited to see how everyone learns and grows and becomes more profitable over time. Another thing going on is banking stocks buyback period is over. If you were not aware, in 2008, I believe after the crash, the banking stocks were forced to lock up their not buy back shares, or I can't remember exactly what happened, but they're not allowed to buy their shares. But now that period is over, as per the agreement, because of them receiving some kind of relief. So now banking stocks are looking to start taking off. Some of them already have, and Hamid has been talking about it on the previous calls. So the banking stocks like Bank of America, Wells Fargo, JP Morgan, they're going to all start taking off this coming week because now they can buy back their shares. And typically what happens when you buy back shares, there's less flow. And when there's less flow, it's easier for prices to go up. But yeah, more stuff going on in China. Alibaba had some regulations, and Jack Ma actually said something that kind of upset the Chinese government. And because of that, no one has seen him since he made that public statement. Alibaba
And
stocks
no
is
one
going
else
down.
will ever see him.
People are making a lot of memes on the internet saying that he's on his Bloomberg terminal trying to sell his stock or whatever. But it's interesting. That's a huge thing, and it's a huge statement by the Chinese government that it's forced him to go into hiding or whatever is going on. More stuff going on is a lot of SPACs coming out, a lot of hype around SPACs. If you're not know what a SPAC is, it's basically is a special purpose acquisition company, otherwise known as a blank check company. And that's a way that companies either can come out public by either merging with them, and it's becoming very popular as a way for companies to really step out into the public limelight. Other things going on is with the vaccines, Moderna, Pfizer, and AstraZeneca, currently doing terrible, falling below expectations for vaccine distribution. And a lot of stuff is going on. There's new strains of COVID popping up all over the world, in Ohio, in China, everywhere. So a lot of people are concerned that we might be in quarantine and lockdown for the entire rest of the year. China is also, I believe, parts of China is back in lockdown or something, and I heard rumors about that. Affirm and Petco just IPO'd, and there's more IPOs coming up soon, such as Coinbase and a lot more. And funny enough, Trump got banned on social media. Can we all thank God for that? Can we all collectively just be happy about that? Like, he's
It
off
depends.
social media.
It depends on how, yeah. It depends on how you look at it, man. Some people see that ban being a very slippery slope because he is an idiot. He is an idiot. That's not an argument. But when you have 4 companies controlling how the world communicates with each other, it becomes really easy to say like, oh, if one of us knows that, Mark Zuckerberg has dropped the N-word, and I try and share that to Facebook, and he deletes everything I know and exists, it makes it very easy for a bunch of people who aren't elected officials to make decisions. But collectively, yeah, I'm happy to see the orange one go. My life has never been so peaceful in the last week of 2020, right before he got it was great. It was great the last week.
Facts.
No longer got to follow him and watch out for his tweets that make the stock market drop.
Oh yeah,
right. Now we got to come up with a new strategy. But I think
what am I going to talk about on the podcast?
Right. But I think it's interesting because we never know what's going to happen now. But I think for a moment, I think it's good to have him and his negative comments off of social media. But it is a slippery slope, and it's very bad because, again, because of that, Facebook and Twitter stocks have both dropped. So we just got to be careful and be mindful of things going on in the social media realm. And lastly, the cannabis industry has been doing well. A lot of the cannabis companies went crazy last year, huge multi-million-dollar revenue streams or sales last year. And it just keeps going up year over year. So cannabis stocks are definitely primed to go up. Some of them have been going up double-digit returns, like GRWG and Afria. And I think New York is looking to legalize that soon. But yeah, where do y'all want to start? What do you think was the most interesting thing that happened this past week?
For me, flat out, it would have to be the fact that we saw that dip come Friday, and the dip came as a result of the poor numbers and the poor vaccination logistics and put out. That is why my biggest push in the last 2 days is to find these logistical companies, because the vaccines aren't getting out and it's affecting the market, and people who have money, who want to keep having money, are going to find ways of making this work so that they can keep making money. So if I can pick up a few breadcrumbs off of those, like I said, I have no problem being a thousandaire off a millionaire's table.
Facts. It's really surprising seeing that the vaccine companies have not been doing well. It's gotten to the point where they're literally giving out vaccines for free. And I know you took your vaccine. How did that feel for you?
So I've already tried to do the whole stick on the wall thing. That didn't work. I can't lift my car with one hand still. But other than that, I feel fine. I think the vaccine and the superpowers I wanted to kind of get aren't coming, but I think more important is the distribution needs to be resolved. When I went to go get my vaccine, there was a list of 800 people who were supposed to be vaccinated that day, and I was the only one in the building. So you're absolutely right. There's no way that we shouldn't be having this issue. There's no way we should be having this issue as this country. Like, it's crazy that we have the answer and we can't tell nobody. That's crazy.
No, it's definitely crazy. I feel like just ever since the COVID came out, there's not been a good solution, or at least execution at all. So I'm really not positive or hopeful or believing the fact that we might be getting out of quarantine soon, especially with these new strains coming up. And because of that, I think retail stocks are going to take a hit. A lot of different stocks are going to take a hit, just off the fact that when people realize that.
Well, luckily for us, the new strand is when they make the vaccines and these shots, they make them with the idea of evolution in mind. So it's good for us that this new strand still uses the same basic components. So this vaccine will work for the new strand. We just got to get it out. Biden's first 100 days in office needs to be solely focused on distribution. If we can get this under control, if we can at least get this distributed under control, it'll put us in the fast lane to getting back to somewhat of normal. But like, this new strands don't scare me. They're more of a news hype. To the scientific community, that's nothing to be worried about for us. If it's something new, then we have to worry. But if it's still COVID, it's already been solved for.
Facts. I guess moving on, what do you think about the SPACs? I know, Rebecca, you've been tracking a lot of the SPACs. You're looking at IPOE, IPOC. What do you think about the SPACs going on and how that's been for companies that have been coming out public or joining or merging with these companies?
I really like the concept of SPACs, just because I think they're a lot more efficient than having to go through the whole IPO process. And I think just the whole IPO process is probably it's time consuming and probably super costly. I mean, we did see a couple IPOs this week, Firm, Petco, Poshmark, where they did pretty well coming out of their IPOs. And so I think there's still that IPO hype around, but I think it's more focused now on SPACs, especially looking at, CCIV, the whole rumor with Lucid Motors, and that was the hottest stock this week.
Literally,
it's a lot of speculation, but I think at the end of the day, just kind of doing the research, I've found websites where they just list all the different SPACs and just kind of going through each one of them and kind of saying, what's the potential companies merging. I think there's potential because you can also get in at a pretty nice price point where SPACs are usually listed around $10 and have that potential of who they're going to merge with. So getting in early and then riding the wave.
Well, what was the name of that website where people can go check out the SPACs and which companies might be merging with them?
I literally Googled SPACs 2021, but I did post on the Discord.
Perfect.
The link to it.
Perfect.
Rebecca, you don't feel that there's going to be a negative backlash with this whole, the less there is, the less variety, the less for innovation, and the more of a monopolization? You're not worried about that conflict?
For SPACs?
Yeah.
I think right now, a lot of it, I mean, I don't know about monopolization, but I see a lot of fire kind of with SPACs in the EV space. So I would love to see more. If I know there's a couple SPACs out there that are doing more, maybe fintech with I think it was IPOE that's kind of merging with SoFi, and a couple other ones maybe are doing things towards the gaming sector. But I do feel like it's a little bit concentrated right now in the entire EV space. So I would love to see kind of SPACs branch out from there. I don't think I don't really see any threat with monopolization. I think it actually makes the market more efficient.
No, I definitely agree. And it's definitely something that I've seen a lot of people doing more, like a lot of companies doing more. I don't hear much more about companies coming out with CCIV. Everyone was talking about it. It's not even guaranteed that Lucid Motors was going to be merging with them, but just the fact that so many people are riding that wave is pretty much guaranteed in the point. And there was a lot of announcements about, CCIV is going to make an announcement during the week, but It's interesting. I think it's just really
I think it actually levels out the playing field for people, because if you think about IPOs, you can't get in pre-IPO, right? At that IPO release price,
Facts.
the bigger you know, institutions have. So as a regular investor, we're actually at a disadvantage with IPOs, because we're going to buy the IPOs when it's 100% up the day it hits Robinhood or whatever trading platform you're using. So I think SPACs actually give us retail traders a better advantage
Facts.
to get action.
Fact, and that's typically after the IPO. That's typically when investors that have been holding since it was private typically dump their stock and leave retail investors in a bad position. So that's actually a great point. Something I did notice was that typically when the SPACs happen and the company fully merges, the ticker symbol switches. So that's just something to be mindful of. I feel like that's going to be dangerous for retail investors, because they're going to either get it confused, just like the whole Zoom versus ZM situation that happened a while back. So just be something to be mindful of. But that's a great point. That's definitely a great point.
Did you see that? Did you see that tweet that Elon put out, and it caused some random company named Signal to go up like 2,000%?
Yes.
Such idiots, man.
I think the SEC had to pause that stock, or what happened afterwards?
Yeah, they had to pause it. Such an idiot.
Like keep going.
That really shows that you have to be careful in this market right now, because there are a lot of people just speculating and playing off of tweets and news that they don't really read. And so there's a lot of money being put in the market right now. So the market is a little inflated. So I'm just a little wary. Just be careful. It might be like a minor bubble, but just kind of watch out for overvalued.
Facts. That's what happens when you give people all these stimulus checks. This is bound to happen. So shit, I'm doing the same thing. I'm putting all my money from, if I get any more stimulus, just back into the stock market, but obviously in a respectful and a smart way. But we'll see. But yeah, lastly, with the cannabis has been going up. If you're looking to invest in cannabis, the ones that we've been following the group chat the most were Growth Generation, GRWG, Afria, Aurora Cannabis, and a couple more. Also Tilray. A lot of people have been talking about Tilray this week. I think those are definitely good ones. But for me, I feel like I'm hesitant to invest in them. I do have a couple shares of GRWG, but I'm hesitant to invest in cannabis because a lot of the companies have just terrible management. And because of that, the stock can easily drop once like those flaws that they make in their business model eventually pop up or cause any issues. So if you're looking at cannabis industry, I definitely feel like people should be careful and pay attention to who are the people managing the company, the board of directors, the C-suite, or whatever, who's in charge of the company. But if you're looking to diversify, there's a couple ETFs that have been doing very well. One of them is the Advisor Shares Pure Cannabis ETF. I think the ticker, which is funny, is YOLO, YOLO. There's another one, the Cannabis ETF, THCX. And another one, Amplify, Say More Cannabis ETF, CNBS. But yeah, a lot of great plays still going on.
For YOLO, so that's great.
Oh, so you know more about YOLO as well?
They have a dividend. I think it's like $1 and like 60 cents. So it's just something to put in the back of your mind. Anything dividend, I'm going to know. I didn't know YOLO had anything to do with cannabis, but I do know that they have a dividend.
Hey, that's dope how we whenever we all look at different stocks, we all see it from different perspectives and we just fill each other in on the different gaps. Oh, that's interesting. But besides that earnings report that took place last week, JP Morgan, PNC, Citibank, a couple other ones, Afria, one of the ones we just mentioned, TSM, that was the semiconductor play that we made this week, and that was really great. The picks that we made this week, a lot of big profits, not as many as plays this week because everyone's either still getting back into the markets or just being mindful, or just playing crypto mainly. But options, one of our members made, I think it was David's been going crazy. He got 385% off OEG. He also got 160% off Airbnb. Me, myself, Rebecca, and Jesse, we all played TSM. We made somewhere between 100 to 163% profit off those options plays. Made 27% off JWN, that's Nordstrom Rack. IDEX, I made a quick play on IDEX, but I sold it a little bit too late and left off with just 10% profit. I made a quick scalp off Roku, literally a 20-minute trade, 27% profit. I think is Hamid that made that play, 30% profit off that. And CCIV, a couple people played CCIV. I know Jeremy did. I'm still in CCIV, but he locked in his profit for 23%. And with Twitter dropping, I did get out before I went into the negative and kept about 5% profit off the stock. But a couple minor losses like CCIV, I think Jesse might have taken a small hit because of his stop loss, which is a good strategy to always have your stop losses. Because again, it's a speculative play, especially when making speculative plays. You always want to make sure you have your stop losses and your price targets. But yeah, moving on to the meme of the week. I thought this was one of the funniest things I saw this week. There's another variation of this meme where you just see Trump just sitting down from the Narcos episode where Pablo was trapped in his prison. He's just there standing and just waiting for something to happen, nothing to do. And it says, when the market's at all-time highs, but you can't tweet about it. I think that was really so funny because now Trump really cannot tweet or make any posts at all. And it's still wild to me. I saw another one where I don't remember that interview that you had where someone was asking him a question. He wasn't answering. He turns the paper over and hands it back. And on the paper, you see him writing down, can you please let me tweet from your phone? And I thought it was really funny. What do y'all think?
It has to be said, like I said, Trump has been removed from social media for breaking terms of services. And just to give people a little bit of history, in 2002, the Republican Party, the conservative part of this country, made a decision, and they're being punished for it today. When in Indiana, a cake maker didn't want to make a cake for a gay couple. And the Supreme Court came out with a ruling a few years back saying that, yeah, that private company has the right to limit the First Amendment on its customer space to protect its own integrity. Twitter did the same thing. I think Twitter, Facebook, the whole 9 yards, they're all self-serving at this point because this is a person that should have been banned in his first year. This is a person that should have been banned a long time ago. But I just think it's funny how Twitter banned Trump after he tried to ban them from the country. And then Twitter called his big brothers and was like, nah, Facebook, Twitter, go ahead, jump on this man. Like, it's just so sad. I've never slept better at night knowing that this guy can't literally start World War III while I'm asleep. It's great.
Yeah, but the pushback has been wild. A lot of pushback on social media to the point where Jack Dorsey had to make a public tweet and like address the whole situation, the whole thread. He went on a whole rant on his thread about how Twitter came to the decision. They didn't want to make the decision, but Trump forced them to make the decision to ban him. And after that, the other social media platforms had to follow suit. They didn't work together or all make a decision together, but they all saw the same issue. And it was Twitter that I think made the first step. And there's been a lot of pushback from Trump supporters about it. And I think a lot of people are getting more anxious about what's going to happen at the inauguration. And a lot of rumors about armed protests. So that's just something to be mindful of. But yeah, there's the meme of the week. Question of the week is, are you going to be a patriot this week? And then the other question is, what altcoins are you looking at? Earlier today, we had our Clubhouse call, and it was a really great conversation. We talked about stocks, options, but we spent a lot of time talking about crypto. But the major consensus that a lot of people had, and I think you were on the call earlier today, Rebecca, right?
Yep.
What do you think about a lot of the altcoins or discussion that was being had?
I think right now I'm still definitely, I just started believing in Bitcoin. So I'm kind of slowly inching my way into it, watching a lot of videos on YouTube and just trying to educate myself. So right now I'm really sticking with the two big ones. So Bitcoin and Ethereum. I'm just kind of really focusing on those charts and trying to buy the dip whenever I can. Just a little bit at a time, just not going so crazy with it, just to start a position within crypto. And for all the other altcoins, there's just so many out there right now. So maybe looking into I know Litecoin is probably like the third most popular one. And just kind of seeing those different ones to see, just like putting, like as you said, like $50 into each one and seeing where it goes, really, because we have no idea. We don't really know where the space is going. We have an idea with a lot of institutions now coming in and believing in crypto and actually embracing the technology, but we just don't know which coins will be it and which institutions will be investing in which, and maybe they're going to make their own coins at the end of the day. So
Definitely.
It's interesting to really just watch the space develop, and it's like, you know, being a part of the internet revolution, and just kind of also, you know, watching that.
No, I really love that you said that, because I feel like we are in the middle, or at least at the really turning point of a crypto revolution. Like, everything is about to change to, everything is already digital, but just now the one thing that people have held on to the most, which is currency, is now becoming that. Cryptocurrency is going to be the thing that people rely on in the future, in my opinion. And I believe, just as you said, like, if you have any money at all, throw at least $50 into cryptocurrency and use that as a way to learn and get familiar about it ahead of the curve. All the rich people, all the big people out there in the world, they're already ahead of the curve. So if people like us, retail investors, or the average day Joes and Smos, should actually be more eager to learn about it, because if this is all taken up, those have limited supply, at least for most of them, is very bad if we are the ones left behind, because we don't have to work even harder and probably have to put in more work and figure out more ways to have income just to make ends meet. But just like you, I think everyone should throw at least $50, if not $50, at least 5 to 10% of your portfolio into cryptocurrency and use that as a way to learn. But on the call earlier today, we were discussing a lot about some of the major ones to look at, such as Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, Chainlink. That's a huge popular one that's been coming up, as well as DOT, or Polka Dot. But the symbol is DOT, and they were up 75% just in last week. So there's a lot of potential in crypto if you know the right ones to invest in. But you got to be careful, because a lot of them are hyped up and then tanked out either by the SEC or by different groups like Ripple or Tether. But again, use this as time while this is becoming developed to really learn about it, because with cryptocurrency, it's not just a coin or a currency. They're actually technological projects that are built off technology, specifically blockchain technology, and each of them have their own applications and pros and cons. And you hear a lot of that talk during people. So for me, I'm using this time to really get familiar with cryptocurrency and learn about how it works, the technicals and stuff like that. That way I can teach everyone else and put the tribe on as well. Because I feel like at some point, we're not going to have dollars or physical cash. We're going to have strictly just cryptocurrency. The US already has their own cryptocurrency called the USDC, and they're slowly trying to put unique ways in push that in different ways. Like Coinbase, the interest rate on holding USDC is 10%. So they're really trying to get people paid off using USDC. But yeah, that is a lot about altcoins. And if you are following us, our page, follow us at TheTradeTribe, and let us know what altcoins are you looking at, what brokerage platforms are you looking at. I know I'm on Coinbase, Rebecca's on BlockFi. Hero, I finally got you in this Bitcoin challenge. Tell us, you're gonna have to provide an update on Bitcoin challenge every single week. How much are you making up?
You want an update? All right, here's your update. So I did jump in. This was during our break, but I did jump back into I jumped into Dogecoin right before it hit its boost. So I am actually up 25% there, but I think I only put $20 into that. So that's the differential there, 20% on that. But Bitcoin, like I said, I've been trading this fairly, so I've been trying to close the gap on it. It took a major hit. My goal was to get out of it when it hit 41. It didn't hit 41 the week I want to get out of it, so it dropped back into 5. So I'm riding the wave, but I am at $80 from the 50 that I put in. So I'm up $30.31, which is a grand total of 45% in total. So I'm still waiting to get to that 100%. So I can get you your $50 and I mean your 25% on $50, man. So
we love to see it. I guess with everyone and them going back and forth. And David, feel free to chime in here. How do y'all feel about cryptocurrency? I think Rebecca, you already gave your point. So Hero, David, how do y'all feel about cryptocurrency and things moving forward? I'd love to get your point, David, because I feel like you're the most knowledgeable about crypto right now.
Yeah. So my point is, I'm kind of still trying to figure out a way to kind of get around savings accounts. I know a lot of people are kind of skeptical on how secure crypto wallets are, how sustainable it is to keep your money in there for 5-10 years or whatever. But as I was saying, as investors, we welcome the idea of risk, and we also understand that that there's no bank on the planet, honestly, that's going to give you 10 to 15% just for holding money in their bank year after year. So as we were talking about different platforms to hold your cryptos in, because even that rate varies between platforms as well.
And
So
per
I would,
coin too.
yes, per coin, per platform. So I would say that everyone, of course, you should have your long-term savings, your 401k, retirement, all of that. But you should also factor in cryptocurrency into your long-term savings to get 10% a year return on investment. Because the same people, there's a lot of people in their desire to keep their money, they're not thinking about really how worth it is to keep your money sitting in a bank, right? A lot of people are heavy on the save thing, but the people that invested their money in Apple and in Nike in the early 90s or in the 80s are the people that are swimming in it now. So we kind of have to decide for ourselves if we really believe in cryptos in general, and if we want to be those people who were like we were just on this Bitcoin wave, when people were using it when we were in high school and everybody was making fun of it. And now there's people who are literally our age who are millionaires from the currency. So if we're really at the beginning of a revolution, then we should probably put our best foot forward instead of talking about it 10 years later with regret.
Exactly. And I think that's a great point. I was literally talking about
remember the Bitcoin wave. I was playing my N64 when everyone else was talking about Bitcoin, but now they're buying switches by the boatload and I can't afford one. But those were the days. Yeah, you don't want to have that conversation with nobody.
Where were you when Bitcoin hit 100K? Where were you when
where were you when Bitcoin hit 100K?
Where were you?
And how broke were you when you realized you messed up?
Literally everyone on Twitter or social media literally got to post every 5 seconds how much Bitcoin has moved or how much they own. But yeah, that was the question of the week. Let us know what altcoins, cryptocurrency, and platforms you're using. Follow us and mention that, or comment us, or directly DM us on social media.
One thing that I want to just quickly say about Bitcoin is that there's a lot of great YouTubers out there, YouTube videos that they do like daily analysis of Bitcoin and Ethereum and different charts. And I've been watching them, and just kind of watching it, you learn a lot about technical analysis too. So I would really recommend doing that, and just kind of watch the charts with them, and they explain it really well, and learn about crypto and learn about technical analysis at the same time.
Big facts. I feel like those tools are still being created, but people are still figuring out how to do that. But that is a great point. But moving on, book club segment. Again, every 2 weeks we cover a couple more chapters of the book that we're going over. And this time we're still on how to day trade for a living. And in the first 3 chapters, it was just kind of an introduction to what trading and different types of trading are, as well as what day trading is specifically. And the biggest takeaways for me were to treat trading like a business. And ever since I started doing that, I feel like I've been taking it more seriously, seeing a lot of the benefits from it. And just like with any business, you want to make sure you have the right tools, you have the right people on your team, you want to make sure you have the right amount of capital, and you're managing your risk. You always got to take it seriously. And this book kind of tells you how you can do it and things to do that. So I like how they talked about that. Another thing they talked about in the first 3 chapters is about what will be the best time to day trade for you. For me, I think the best time is the first hour of the day. That's really where a lot of the moves take place, because that's when stocks either gap up or gap down from the night, and a lot of people are up early to catch those waves. And lastly, the power hour. Power hour is the last hour of the market day. Typically, people are making their final decisions and trying to get in before the market closes. So you see a decent amount of movement. But for me, the worst hour of the day would be during lunchtime. That's when people are either taking a break and stepping away. So you see a little bit of consolidation. But other things I definitely agree with is having all the right tools. The platform you use, the brokerage you use is very key. It changes the game just by knowing the one that works best for you. And having a community. For me, my community is the tribe. Everyone on this call, Rebecca, David, Hero, everyone that's going crazy in the Discord. And talk about other stuff that make trading very useful, like fundamental triggers. What really makes stocks move? It could be earnings announcements, product release, and so on and so forth. We've talked about that in the previous episode. I think that's really dope. Other thing to talk about is risk management. David, I really love how you said that earlier. Risk management. That's what we do as traders. In the book, they mention it. I think to quote it or paraphrase it, they say that the biggest thing the trader has to do or investor has to do is managing the risk. The brokerage and all these other people, they do the trading for you. You just got to manage your own risk. And they give a little bit of strategies about how to manage your risk. They said to make sure you size your trade. Don't just buy as many shares as you can. You want to make sure you're calculating how much you're willing to lose and how many shares you can afford. There's a way to calculate in the book that you should definitely go check out. But it tells you how you can size your position and buy the right amount to make sure you're not losing much money, but maximizing your profit. They also say give highlight to the 2% rule, which is basically to try not to lose more than 2% any day you're in the market. I kind of stick to that. Mine is more on the 5% level. So typically my account is on a good day, my account is not moving more than 5% a day in the negative. And other ways is to clarify what's your entry, your exit, your stop loss. But most importantly of all is your psychology. At the end of the day, it's all about your mind. How well can you predict how you will act in different situations? How do you act under stress? Because being a trader is very stressful. When you see your account going up and down, it's super stressful. I saw someone in the chat drop a meme in the Discord saying how long-term investors sleep at night versus how options traders sleep at night. And they're like, definitely related, because if you have an options call open overnight, anything can happen. It can wake up negative 100% tomorrow and you don't know what to do. So definitely have the right psychology. But most importantly, if you want to be a trader, you need to know how to choose the right stocks. And I think in the chapters 4 to 6, they teach you how to do that. They tell you how to do it. I didn't really like chapter 5, and y'all can tell me how y'all like it. But in chapter 4, they teach you ways to look for stocks, primarily by using indicators like volume, RSI. I'm looking for float, stocks within certain float. For those that don't know, float is the amount of shares that are out and available for purchase. So they're not locked up in the company, they're not locked up in employees. You can actually go buy or sell those shares. So a lot of companies have either low float, and typically those are below $10. Some have medium float, somewhere between $10 to $100 price for their stock. And some of them have a lot of float. So like mega cap companies like Apple, or big name companies you can think of. And there's ways to look for those. You can use scanners. I personally use scanners, and I've been done a great job last week really learning about scanners. And they talk more about it. But before I continue, y'all have anything y'all want to chime in from what you read from the book? I know, Hero, you read up to, I think, chapter 5.
Yeah, the thing that kind of put my mind at ease when I was reading this, because he does away with a lot of misconceptions and spells. This shit ain't easy. You have to. And I think one thing that he doesn't talk about, but he implies, is there is a bar of entry for you to be a day trader. Like he passively makes mention that he has $25,000 in his account at any given time. And I think you need to have that's the minimum you need to have to even be a day trader. So like if you're getting up here thinking that you're gonna that you're working at McDonald's and you're about to become a day trader, it's not. The bar of entry is very clear. But to be making $120,000 a year, a lot of people have to at least have 2 degrees. The very few people who don't have that, they're the exception to the rule. If you're not in that category, you need to be quite comfortable putting in a necessary level of work that would have required you to get 2 years worth of 2 degrees worth of education. And it could be education you learn on the fly, but don't come here with the misconception that you're going to take a stimulus check and become a day trader. You're going to find out that people like me and this tribe is going to eat off of your plate.
Facts. And for those of you that don't know, the SEC has a rule called the PDT rule. That's the pattern day trader rule. So it requires that if you are going to be trading or day trading as a living or doing it consistently, you should have at least 25,000 equity or balance in your account at the time. So that will allow you to have unlimited day trades. If you have anything below 25,000, you're limited to only 3 day trades for every 5 trading day periods. And in the book, they mentioned that if you really want to seriously trade, you should have at least 5,000 in your account. But if you want to be a real serious day trader, you need to have at least 25,000. And with that, you can set goals for maybe 100 a day, 1,000 a day. And if you do that, there's about 200 and something trading days in a year. So if you make $100 a day, which is not hard at all, or not unlikely with a balance like 5,000, 25,000, you can make upwards of 120K a year. And they even break up the math for you. How do you calculate how much you need to take and how much you need to make a day? So I really like that part of the book. I think that was in chapter 4, but I didn't really like chapter 5. He kept on trying to self-promote and say, hey, I'm gonna explain this later, or join our free Discord or free chat. I didn't really like that, so I feel like
It's no longer free.
Well,
by
I
the way.
mean that
right, it's no longer free. That shit was
Oh,
wild.
yes.
I looked at it.
but
Thank
but
you,
this is also like the catch the double-edged sword. I mean, we literally have this podcast going on right now, absolutely free. We're giving people insight. We have proof that our concept works, and people will still make excuses for it not doing it. The catch is when enough people realize, oh, this does work. Well, then you need to think like a businessman and mind your own business. You need to start thinking about, okay, I now have 100 people talking about they want to come on the call. That's not going to be possible. But you can pay to get on the call. You can pay for us to look at your charts. You can't pay for us to analyze your week in the review. Like, I think at that point we can't shade him for that. At the end of each one of our podcasts, we plug our shit. So I mean,
Facts.
do what you
That's
will.
But
it is I am kind of salty that when I did click on that shit, it said put in your bank number.
$99 per month or like $1,200 a year.
Yeah. I was like, I'm good.
But yeah, moving on. In the next chapters 5 to 6, they did talk a lot about how they choose stocks. And one of the strategies that he uses in the book is to use his scanners. And for those of you that don't know, there's things called scanners and screeners that literally tell you what stocks to look at. There's thousands of stocks in the market, but it's too much for you to look at. You can create a bot or an automated scanner that uses your strategy. You can easily program it or change the parameters to find stocks that fit your strategy. And he explains how he finds his. And that scanner is available on apps or platforms like Thinkorswim. I'll probably do a lesson of the week on scanners since I've been learning about that a lot, maybe 3 weeks from now. But these are very useful. You can use them to create watch lists before the market even opens or during the day. You can literally have them scanning the markets every day, looking for specific setups that you use. And that is really great because now you spend no time looking at markets and just looking at the stocks that you have. In the book, he gives an example about a scanner that he used to filter it down to 9 and how he filters that 9 down to 4 based off the setups that he sees. And then out of that 4, he chooses to maybe trade 1 to 3 of them that day and gets out. And he makes his profit, hits his goal every day. And some of the strategies he uses called, one of the criteria he uses is called gap up or gap down, which is basically where a stock shoots up and skips a lot of price numbers. And goes up about $1 just randomly, typically due to insider information. Another thing he looks for criteria is about 50,000 pre-market volume. So the shares being traded 50,000 times just before even the market opens. That typically gives signal to something, insider information or something else happening. A daily volume of about 1 million. And lastly, either a fundamental catalyst or average true range of 50 cents. With all of these, he uses these as parameters for his scanner. So I'm gonna try out some of those parameters. I personally use volume as a parameter for my scanner, and it's been very useful. It really cuts down the amount of time you spend looking at stocks and finding good stocks. He also has another one that he has, which just looks for gappers, just strictly looks for stocks that gap up and down in the middle of the day, as well as others that do reversal. Then he goes on to explain how useful price action is. I think price action is the best strategy to have, in my opinion, and the book says that too. But with price action, you got to understand how people buy or sell. How do you know when it's bullish or bearish? And you can pay attention to that with patterns like the doji, the spinning tops, or different structures or patterns like reversals. But all in all, I think overall it's been a great book so far. We have 3 more chapters, which is 7 to 9. And we'll cover that in the next 2 weeks. But any last points about this before we move on?
For stock screeners, finviz.com is one that is free and you can just go online and use. I've used that one in the past to just kind of figure, there's just so many stocks out there that it's impossible to look at all of it. So
exactly,
getting those criterias down and just putting it in and letting the machine work for you is great. So finviz.com.
Facts. That's a great plug out there. Another one that I use a lot all the time, Thinkorswim. They have amazing scanners. They even have some presets for you, so you don't need to create your own. They give you some for free. You can just look at it and they will tell you stocks to invest in. But moving on to week ahead. This week is going to be a very, very short week. I think it's going to be a lot of stuff that's going to happen, but it's going to be a short week. Tomorrow the markets are closed for Martin Luther King Day. Shout out to the good bro. And on Wednesday, we have Biden's inauguration in the middle of the day. And following that, he's pretty much going to jump straight into providing the stimulus. And I think he's mentioned having a second stimulus later in the year, depending on how things go. So from my understanding, there are two packages. One that's the 1.9 trillion. There's another one that might be coming in talks later down the line. But with that, it's definitely a great idea to start looking at the stocks that he's backing, like weed stocks, energy stocks, all things like that. Some good energy companies would be Energy Transfer. Some good weed companies would be GRWG, Canopy Growth. EV companies also get a benefit from that. Tesla, the electric vehicle charging, battery charging, like SBE and Blink, and a lot of those stuff. And even with this week as well, we have a lot of earnings. Earnings is back in season this year, this week. With Netflix is going to be after the close on Tuesday. Bank of America, Goldman Sachs, and Charles Schwab is going to be on Monday before the before markets open. On Tuesday before the markets open, we have United Airlines after the close on Wednesday. Fuel Cell Energy, that's one I've been looking at a lot. I'm going to probably pay attention to theirs on Thursday before open. Intel after the close, for those that are interested in semiconductors on Thursday. Ally Financial, and a couple other ones out there, but I think those are the main ones. Anyone stand out to you guys?
If you actually, I just recently learned that Ally was listed a stock. So I went and looked at the charts, and Ally just has been on a complete tear, like just a nice upward momentum for the past year. So I think that one definitely, with all this positive with all the banking news, could be a good one to look at.
Facts. Like I've not thought of them myself either. I personally have my car loan through them, and I pay my car note through them. So I should honestly be thinking about investing them so I get my money back. To be honest, should get my money back for my car. But other things going on, everyone is all talking about crypto. Everyone's talking about altcoins. So you're gonna see a lot of movement, especially in some of those altcoins that we mentioned earlier. That I'm definitely watching that this week. I might throw some money in that, but I'll definitely watch that. But yeah, again, bank stocks are coming back, so definitely pay attention to Bank of America, JP Morgan, and Wells Fargo as well. Anything else y'all looking at next week, or that might be happening next week before we go into members pick?
There'll be a lot of drop-offs on a lot of these earnings. Be prepared to buy in the red. Just be prepared to buy in the red.
Facts. But moving on, what is everyone's members picks? For me, I'm trying to sell all my options plays before inaugurations because I don't want that to affect it. Selling all options plays before inauguration. I'm still going to be looking for short-term option plays. I'm trying to get my capital up so I can buy into other stocks I've been looking at. Same stocks as before: EV, Bitcoin stocks, NIO, Tesla, SBE, Blink. I've added FCell, Plug as well. I'm also going to be looking at Airbnb, BNGO. That's a genomic stock that I've been hearing a lot about. Last week they went crazy. Last week I think they went up from like $2 to $6. I am going to be using my scanners. I've connected with a couple people and taught me how to use my scanners, and my scanners are A1 now. So I'm about to be dropping all my scanner picks in the chat. And I also learned how to do Fibonacci retracement. So I'm about to be sniping all these plays. Y'all not ready for me, I promise you. Y'all definitely not ready. But yeah, that is me. How about you guys, Hero?
So really, I'm using this downtime and this quiet time to perfect that the scanner and the dividends chart, and just eyeballing some of these dividends and not falling into the trope of the dividend tray of, why would you want to make a dividend investment portfolio surrounded around Disney and Raytheon? Oh, okay, they got great dividend rates, but it's not enough. You're going to be spending 10 times the amount of money when you can get into, Ally or one of these C corps that just cut off the ground and then paying $5, and you want to grow with them. So I think changing up my strategy, removing a lot of these big boys off my chart, because I'm not going to own 100 stocks of Raytheon. Even if I wanted to, I wouldn't impose that will on myself. So that's what I'm going to be focusing on a lot this week.
Gotcha. How about you, Rebecca?
Along with Hero and his dividend strategy, I'm looking to take my dividend stocks off of Robinhood and into a more advanced platform. That's why I asked Jesse for his Schwab referral. So I'm going to start kind of building up my a dividends account and strategy with a lot of energy infrastructure names that are going to benefit under a Biden administration. I did send out a list by Kiplinger that was a pretty good list. A lot of them have dividends, so definitely going to go look into those different stocks and start increasing or start positions in them.
Bet. How about you, David?
Yeah, so I'm more in the crypto space right now. Waiting on what happens with Bitcoin after the apparently that there's something supposed to happen in the next 2 days or so where I'm gonna pull up the article real quick so I'm not misquoting it, but
Definitely.
something is supposed to happen when the apex of key formation. So like Bitcoin's key formation is gonna hit its apex in like 2 days or so.
Are you talking about the pattern that's forming on the chart?
No, the apex of key formation. So like well, let me see. What is it?
While you're looking at that, I forgot to mention my crypto plays. I'm thinking about actually buying more Link and DOT. My last paycheck, I bought a lot more Ethereum and a little bit more Bitcoin. But I honestly should have moved a little bit to Link and DOT, to be honest. I was looking at that, I was hearing about that, and a lot of people are really strong bullish on Link. So I should have bought a little bit more. I have a few hundred in Link, but I'm looking to increase that a little bit. Slowly, just as dips up here. Because that's my strategy. I've not formed a full strategy on on crypto besides long term and just buying the dip. So for me, I just buy on the dip and just hold on to it for a decent amount. I am thinking about switching to BlockFi with Rebecca to also start staking my crypto and getting interest on that. And for those of you that don't know, staking is basically where it's kind of like savings for crypto. It's basically where you move your funds into a specific coin or into a specific account, and you get interest for doing that. And it's really great. Where? Say it again. It's a lot of different. Coinbase has it. If you buy USDC on Coinbase, they give you interest for holding it. A lot of different accounts have it. On the Clubhouse call, people were talking about it where you can go on BlockFi. And Rebecca, you can talk more about it since you know more about that.
Yeah, so with different cryptos, for example, BlockFi gives you up to 8.6% on the USDC, and they call it the Gemini USD, which is basically their version of a stable coin that's equivalent to the US dollar. And then they have interest rates for like Bitcoin is at 6%. And it's
so this is like another brokerage.
I think they're really trying to play off of the idea of the high yield savings account. But the high yield savings account right now with interest rates super low is nothing, like 0.5%. So that's not you're not going to get anything off of that. So I think because it's also a lending platform, so they actually are. That's how they're able to give you such a high interest rate, is because they're actually lending out the different coins to members of the platform. I did a lot of research and reviews on it where I felt it was safe enough where the platform has a lot of leverage over the people borrowing. So they make sure like the borrowers have a certain amount of coins or a certain amount of money within their account before letting them borrow more margin. So that's how the platform is really giving such a high interest rate because they are taking that interest rate percentage from lending out the coins.
Yep, I think it's a really great strategy, especially for people that are looking to hold on long term, because then might as well get paid to hold it for a long period of time. So I'm thinking about moving a decent amount of my crypto to BlockFi and things like that. But
Yeah,
David,
and it's not only crypto; it is a lot of different cryptos. But you can also move your U.S. dollars into it. That's what I mean. Because I was looking for a high yield savings alternative because
Facts.
0.5 was doing it. So that's when I was doing the different looking at different rates. I just happened upon BlockFi, and I was like, this has to be the next move.
Right. It makes so much sense. Like for me, I feel like my Coinbase account is really becoming my savings account because I'm not really doing anything with it, but just holding it into these different crypto, and I'm moving a lot of my money from my paychecks to that. So might as well get a higher interest and then still get the benefit of having all this crypto too. So I think that's a really great point. And I really appreciate you for throwing that in the Discord.
Yeah.
But David, you have anything regarding your crypto plays still? Or
Well, yeah. So what I was talking about with the so a lot of experts believe that the apex, like the true apex of Bitcoin, is going to come up in the next few days. So we've noticed that while Bitcoin has been sliding, a lot of the other altcoins have been gaining steam, and feel like when the apex hits, whenever that is within the next day or so, then we'll see a lot of the altcoins kind of like stagnate for a little bit, and then Bitcoin will start its real jumps. Because there's a lot of people who believe that Bitcoin is going to pass like 60 grand by the end of 21.
People have already promised 100K, 100K
yeah, so
for Bitcoin,
which is all possible. The thing is, right, because cryptos is such a speculative market, anything can really happen.
Facts.
What I was saying is that, like we were just talking about before, I think it's just best, like even though US dollar coins aren't going to go up in value from $1, getting that percentage through the right program, through the right platform could mean all the difference, which leads me to the next point. When we were on Clubhouse earlier, someone mentioned Celsius. As a platform in addition to BlockFi. So I feel like I want to take a decent percentage of my savings, even some of what I would have lumped into a Roth IRA or some account of that nature, and put it in something that's going to guarantee high yield within that span. Because if not all cryptos catch on, I believe, much like you are believing, that the US dollar coin is going to be readily accessible to the American populace, and that the American government is going to make ways for it to get into our day-to-day transactions. So I feel like it will eventually get into use and it will be around for a while. So
I will say the reason I chose BlockFi, even though it doesn't have the highest APY, it's at 8.6, but there's a lot of other platforms like Nexo and UHODL that have like 10% for the US stable coins. The reason why I decided to do BlockFi is because they actually have a really awesome referral bonus right now. It was like up to $250 in Bitcoin. It's like, but it's tiered. So you have to in order to get 250, you have to put in $20,000. And it goes down from there. But I thought that the bonus over time with the interest rate just was really beneficial. Better than that if I just did that 10%. Also, BlockFi just seems a little bit more widely used, and was backed by a lot of great companies like Fidelity, the Winklevoss twins, Coinbase, also Coinbase Ventures. So that's why I chose BlockFi. But that bonus really got me. So
hey, let me borrow your link, Rebecca. Let me get some money. Let me borrow
you the bonus
link.
yeah, same thing. Can I have your link?
Let me get that link. Let's all eat.
Yeah, if you can drop it in the Discord, that'd be great.
I'll drop it in Discord.
Dope. Appreciate it. But yeah, that is our episode today. We covered a lot. This is only the second episode of season 2. So again, thank you for listening, and thanks for the people that we have on the call today. David, Rebecca, Hero, myself. This is the Trade Tribe. So make sure to share this with your friends and family, whichever way you are listening to this or watching this. Follow us on social media at the Trade Tribe and subscribe to our YouTube and podcast app. Good luck trading, and Tribe out.